Liz Lamping here, PHRA's Executive Director. Welcome to P4, People, Purpose, Passion, Pittsburgh. P4 is brought to you by our members and sponsors, Latitude and the University of Pittsburgh Executive MBA Programs and Center for Executive Education. We appreciate their support, and we will hear from them throughout the podcast, beginning with the University of Pittsburgh Executive MBA Programs and Center for Executive Education.
Greetings, colleagues and friends. Welcome to our continuing special season of the PHRA P4 podcast, People, Purpose, that's a tough one, Passion, Pittsburgh. I knew I would stumble over that. Our early focus here in 2024 is to really get to know our board of directors a lot better. And we have two of our great volunteer board of directors with us today, Jamie Devine and Patrick Gilchrist. So welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
Basically, before we get started, what I like to say is this came about because the PHRA, they do an annual survey every year, and we get a great response from our members. And the reason why we do this survey is really to help shape our learning and professional development activities for the year, what we want to do in terms of events and networking, and then highlight other issues that come about from our membership, because we do care here in the PHRA about our membership. And that's how this survey really helped to shape this podcast season, because one of the recurring themes that came about was that people maybe don't feel comfortable approaching our board of directors. They don't know our board of directors. So we wanted to really highlight. My name is Ron Kubitz. I'm the actually director of recruitment for St. Barnabas Health System. I've been a member of the PHRA for God knows too many years. It's been about 14 actually now. And I've served on the board of director many of those years, as I do this year in 2024, and past president, been on the executive committee. So I am blessed to be able to talk with Jamie and Patrick today. I know them both. I value them both. We've had great relationships. So I'm really honored that I get a chance to talk to both of these great board of directors for the PHRA. So let's get to know them. Jamie, you want to just go tell us a little bit about yourself so we can get to know you better?
Absolutely. Thanks, Ron. So as Ron mentioned, my name is Jamie Devine, and on a personal front, I live in the South Hills of Pittsburgh. I am a wife and a mother to 3 children. One child has gotten married, so I'm actually a mother-in-law as well. That's recent. Just happened this summer, so still getting used to that. But I also, as far as a hobby standpoint, one of my favorite things is to cook and bake. And so one of my most favorite games is to reinvent the food that we have. So any leftovers get made into a new meal, not just warmed up. So that's a fun game I like to play when it comes to the kitchen. Professionally, I am a human resources business partner with American Water. And that role includes things like workforce planning, talent acquisition, succession planning, and employee development, what I like to call the fun side of HR. I have been with them for almost 15 years. I started in their Hershey office, and in 2012, they offered me an opportunity to relocate to the western half of the state. I took the opportunity and moved out here to Pittsburgh area, and have been here ever since. Really great move for me, and have done a number of things. But as I described, that's my current role as it stands today with what we call the water company.
Well, great. And I'm sure since you moved to this end of the state, your sports allegiances hopefully are with the sporting teams on this side of the state.
That's right. Go black and gold.
All right. We got to make sure we get that out there. So, well, great. Thank you for sharing a little bit, Jamie. Patrick, how about yourself?
All right. Thanks, Ron. Jamie, good answer. I was holding my breath, as far as the sports allegiances go. I wasn't sure that could have gone either way, and we wouldn't have judged you. but you did answer correctly.
Yes.
So myself, born and raised in southwestern Pennsylvania. I'm married with 14-year-old boy-girl twins who are freshmen at Seneca Valley. We're in the Cranberry area. A little bit about myself, athlete. I played sports year-round when I was growing up. As a matter of fact, the fun fact about me is that I still play old man hockey in the middle of the night. I'm not one of those folks that just likes to go run. In fact, my favorite joke in the whole world is I only run if something big and scary is chasing after me. And so, to get out there, compete, there's camaraderie, you make a lot of good friends, but, there is exercise involved. And, I think it's a great stress reliever for me. So that's my little fun fact. And I am a huge Pittsburgh sports fan, all in, all the time, no matter what, as most people would probably expect. From a professional side, I'm the regional director for Robert Half here in Pittsburgh. We are one of the oldest and largest specialized staffing agencies in the world. I'm responsible for 25 sales folks and recruiters, and we have 4 locations in and around the Western PA area. So right downtown, which is where I am today. That's the new FNB building right behind me. Gorgeous, so awesome to add to the skyline. We also have Moon Township, one in Wexford and one in Youngstown, Ohio.
Well, great, and we certainly appreciate that. And so Seneca Valley high school students, not too far from St. Barnabas. I'm going to have to hit you up for some jobs for the young ones here coming up here shortly. I see. So
Please do.
great. Now, Dan Corkum, our past president, he plays hockey too. Have you ever played against Dan in any of your adult beer leagues?
I have never seen Dan on the ice, not yet, but maybe. You just never know. It's such a tight-knit community, Ron, you never know.
Yeah, that would be an interesting hockey confrontation there. So, Patrick, I know you don't like to brag, but 2023 last year, I know you did get an honor through the PHRA. Personally, can you share that with us?
Sure. I was very fortunate to be selected as Volunteer of the Year for PHRA for 2023, which that was my second time nominated. And quite frankly, and this is the honest truth. Looking at that field, the other individuals that were up on the stage with me, I didn't really think that I had a snowball's chance, and you know what. But anyway, it was, and that just made it that much sweeter. So I had a pretty big 8 days back at the end of September. Of course, that during the evening event at the conference, and then about 8 days later, got notification that I was voted in as a board member. So could not be happier and really excited, obviously, for 2024.
Sure, great. That was great and well deserved. And I know I've been nominated a few times in the past, was fortunate enough to win once. I know, Jamie, you've been nominated in the past. So again, just some of the things that you can look forward to, during your PHRA volunteership, so to speak. So I appreciate it. So, Jamie, let's get a little bit more focusing on HR, the world of HR, because obviously you're in a very responsible role at your company. What trend do you see in HR that's really impacting your business, whether it be positive or negative?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the trend that we're seeing is big data. Technology is front and center. You can see my bat today is National App Day. There's an app for that. And so there's always a ton of data out there, and we haven't always had the ability to collect and analyze that data, and we do now. And I really think we're seeing a lot of things at my company. We use QuickSight. We do a lot of dashboards which pull in the data and then put it into a format that we can easily digest and use that for decision making moving forward. So I think that's a great thing. And coupled with that is AI. We're starting a few chat bots at the company where we have one called Ask HR, where an employee has a general HR question, they can ask the bot rather than trying to find a live person that might have an available minute for that question. it's a chat bot, so it learns as it gets more questions. But that's really the trend is how do we use technology to help us in our role so that we focus, I say, less on the minutia or less on the Q&A and more on what does the future hold? What does our workforce of the future look like? And how are we going to fill those positions and meet the needs of the customers moving forward?
Yeah. Excellent. And I know you and I have spoken in the past, Jamie, a lot, even on the recruiting side. So with some of these apps and the tech and the chatbots, are you hoping to be able to parlay that into relationships and conversations with maybe prospective candidates to try to increase the pool there and the engagement aspect as well?
Absolutely. Yep. It's very much a part of recruitment. And one of the things we say is, regardless if you are a utility person and you think you'll be using hand tools all day, technology is still a part of every role at American Water. So you need to know it. And you're right, some of the questions are more geared that way. How do you feel about technology? Can you use it? Do you have ideas about it? Because innovation comes from the diversity of the workforce and all of the different experience and backgrounds that people bring to it. And that's how we, again, grow and get better as a company.
Great, thank you. Now, Patrick, you might have a little bit of a different perspective, obviously, from the sales side and from the agency side. What are maybe some of the big trends that you're seeing that are impacting, again, business, positive or negative?
Sure, definitely coming from the recruiting side of things from that perspective. Right now, it's the flexibility on work site, work location. Right now, it is the hottest topic that drives both sides of our business, Ron, like you said, both the sales and the recruitment. The remote versus hybrid versus 5 days a week on site, pre-COVID, like nothing ever happened. And right now, there's no right or wrong answer. And every situation is going to be different. Even within every company, there could be different roles that have different needs or different ability to be more flexible than others. And that in and of itself also causes issues as well. For example, you've got a production facility where the production workers, 5 days a week, no questions asked on site, but then there's flexibility. The office folks, does that company need to match up their office folks and their work location? Is there a little bit? So right now, that's the biggest thing. And from what we're seeing, it's that flexibility and open communication and fairness. But by far right now, that's the hottest topic around talent acquisition.
Yeah, and I can certainly empathize with that. Being the director of recruitment, as you know, for St. Barnabas, and we have a lot of medical staff here that basically have to be in the office every day. And, we've adopted the policy that, all the positions, because again, food service has to be in every day, maintenance has to be in every day. So pretty much even the office folks we've adopted have to be in. And it certainly does make it a struggle to recruit, especially for a lot of the office roles and some of the white collar non-medical roles, because they're used to doing the hybrid. So it certainly has been a struggle. Patrick, I know another issue that I deal with on the recruiting side, ghosting. Are you finding that to be a problem for, interviews and candidates that you deal with for your clients?
Yes, unfortunately, that is just something that for whatever reason, perhaps it's the technology, like Jamie was talking about, makes it easy for candidates to be interactive right up until they're ready to not be interactive anymore, and they're gone. So we do see it. No silver bullet. I don't know, Ron, you might be able to share, but I don't have a silver bullet. What we say is just have a strong pipeline of candidates, make sure that you have a backup, which is not as easy as it was, pre-COVID. A lot of times you hear that dreadful saying in recruitment is back to square one. There's nothing worse than hearing that. And so the best thing that you can possibly do is try and line up additional candidates for that role. But yep, it's definitely still out there, unfortunately.
Agree. And if I had a silver bullet, then I wouldn't have graying hair that gets grayer every day. But Jamie, anything you want to throw in on ghosting, or maybe you might see at your company, or how you try to combat that?
Yeah. I think it happens to all of us. Even when we run an intern program in the summer, and even then it can be challenging because you think, oh, a college student, and they're really looking for that opportunity, and they're moving at a much faster pace than we're used to, and sometimes the ghosting, I mean, I don't know for sure, but it can be intentional or unintentional. It could be they've just moved on to the next thing. Maybe I wasn't fast enough on the draw, but also I think it's the multiple avenues, right? So is it email? Do I call them? Do I text them? Should it be Snapchat? I mean, there's so many communication methods about what's the best way to reach a candidate today. And it's sort of the old personality, how are you as a communicator? Do you want to have small talk first or get right to the issue? And now it's what's the how and how I reach you?
Yeah, certainly a lot of reasons. There's no doubt about that. So, okay, let's tweak the topic here a little bit. As I mentioned earlier, we're highlighting the board of directors here for our P4, and it came about again because of our member survey, the members wanting to find out more. So let's talk a little bit about members. We'll start with you, Jamie. What value do you get? What are really some of the positives of being a PHRA member from your perspective, and how do you recommend maybe some of the newer members get more involved?
So I've been a member of PHRA for about 4 years now, and I joined because it was my development goal at work to create a network of like-minded professionals in my regional area. So we're a national company. So most of my HR counterparts sit in Camden, New Jersey, where our headquarters are. So I joined as a development goal, and I think one of the best ways to get involved at PHRA is to join a committee. We have multiple committees, volunteer on a committee. I did so and ended up being the chair of that committee, which was the networking committee, so that you could meet a lot of people. So in my opinion, I think the best way to get involved is to volunteer, whether that's joining a committee or just volunteering for some of the events. And I think the great thing about PHRA is that no matter what you're looking for, they probably have an answer for that. That could be our tagline. We have an answer for that, whether it's a networking happy hour or an educational summit or an annual conference. We've got something that's going to meet whatever your need is in the HR field.
I agree. Not being a true HR background, in my professional background, I certainly learned a lot by asking, professionals like yourself and others. So I certainly agree with you 100%. Patrick, how about from your perspective? What do you feel has been some of the value of the membership and how folks can get more involved?
I'm going to echo a little bit of what Jamie said. Of course, it's that networking for me. Coming at it from my perspective, from third party, from the agency side, a lot of the membership, if not every single one of them, ends up being a potential business partner for me, prospect, if you will. However, this is going to sound cliche, but it's just a lot of fun. We just had the Christmas party back in person. That was the first time I'd been to the Grand Concourse in over 15 years, but that was a tradition for my family. We used to go for just dessert, I remember, for special occasions. And of course, the brunch there. So anyway, a lot of it is the fun. There was an event at Southern Tier, which just happens to be my absolute favorite place on the whole in the whole planet. And so, and then it's that camaraderie with like-minded people. It sounds like a cliche. It may sound like a tagline, but it's just been invaluable for me. And as far as involvement goes, I've always had advice. I've had the same advice my entire career when I'm mentoring, new salespeople, new employees. If you're going to network, choose one organization and go as deep as you can, as opposed to picking 3 or 4 different organizations and just staying like 1 foot deep. So it's the whole, go 100 feet deep in one organization, as opposed to going 1 foot deep in 4 different organizations. And like Jamie mentioned, I think joining a committee is far and away the best way to really get engaged, and in turn, because it's a give and take. You're going to give more, but not a ton more, usually 2 to 3 hours a month, but you're going to get so much more back. I'm a part of the Membership and Diversity Committee. part of what we do is outreach to the membership around welcoming new members, making sure that they maximize their membership with us. And then, of course, a follow-up around the time when our members need to get renewed. And so that's actually one of my strengths. I pick up the phone and call people every single day for a living. And so feel like I found my home and aligned, my skills and expertise in what I do with the right match.
Great, great. And all great answers. And I can echo, both. I mean, learning a lot from folks like Jamie, not having the traditional HR background. So PHRA membership to me was invaluable from that perspective. Have worked with Robert Half. They're also one of our great vendor sponsors as well too, Robert Half. And I will say that, again, it's a great way. I try to deal with, when I use vendors and companies here at St. Barnabas, I try to deal with folks that I've dealt with through PHRA. Folks like Patrick, they do a great job, great product. They're not pushy, but they're there to help you. So I've gained a lot of valuable relationships from that perspective as well. So certainly a win-win for those of you that are newer members or even considering joining. You'll get a lot of great value from the PHRA. There's no doubt about that. Lastly, let's wrap up with a fun question. I'll give you a couple seconds to think about it. If we were in a different alternative universe or different world or place, and you were not in HR, what would you want to do? I know myself, it would be one of two things. I'd either want to be a stand-up comedian. I actually did that way back when I was in college and early 20s. I wasn't very good at it, but I had fun doing that. Or I would want to be actually in a soap opera and be one of the villains, the bad guys in the soap opera. That's always been something that I thought would be a lot of fun. I would love to do. So, Jamie, what about yourself?
Yeah, well, alternative universe, my favorite room is the kitchen. Believe it or not, as I mentioned, I love to cook and bake. I love feeding people. So I'd have to say that in an alternate universe, I'd be a chef. I think in this universe, I'm not a chef because I'm not that good of a cook. It's edible. But I really enjoy that creation of food, and it's life sustaining and it's fun. I love to eat as well. So I think that you get to do a lot of creative outlets when it comes to cooking or baking, and you can really have some fun with it.
Great. How about yourself, Patrick?
For me, it's easy. I'd be a professional athlete for sure. And I won't even be discriminatory around the sport. It could be football or hockey. Wouldn't mind, but that's an easy one, Ron. I still wait for the phone to ring every spring around the Penguins. I feel like I could still get that call. So I haven't quite given up the dream yet, but if I could go back, I think that would be
great. Sidney Crosby's shaking in his boots, I'm sure, out there. But
he is. I'm quite certain of that. He's heard of me. I know he's heard of me.
Well, great. Well, listen, it certainly has been fun catching up with you, Patrick, you, Jamie. I hope our listeners to this podcast have gained some good insights as to both yourself and the PHRA. And I certainly want to thank everybody for listening to this episode of the P4 podcast. And again, people, purpose, passion, Pittsburgh. I was going to do that once without screwing it up. Jamie and Patrick, again, I thank you very much. I hope everybody enjoyed listening. Please feel free to, when you come to the events, go up and greet Patrick, Jamie, myself. We look forward to seeing you at some of the upcoming events, and certainly look forward to you listening to upcoming podcasts where we get to know some more of our members as well. So thank you very much for your time, and everybody have a great rest of the day.
People do matter. And at the end of the day, we cannot get any work done if we don't have the right people in place. Are your people connected? Latitude is the one-stop shop people connection software platform. Our software workshops and programming facilitate new employee onboarding, manager 101s, stay interviews, mentorship programs, and peer networking to increase retention, engagement, satisfaction, productivity, profitability, and happiness. Imagine a technology that intersects your calendar with LinkedIn, Zoom, Google Docs, and your CRM. Contact Latitude today to schedule a conversation.
The PHRA P4 podcast was created to help build HR leaders through discussions with thought and business leaders on the most critical success factor of any business, its people. If you enjoy an episode, please help us spread the word by subscribing to the podcast and providing us a rating. We would love for you to take a screenshot of the episode, tag PHRA, and share it with your followers. Until next time, thank you